I'm David Liggett with Data Center Hawk. I'm in Ashburn with CEO Andrew Schaap and Global Head of Design and Delivery Mike Coleman with Aligned Energy, and we're talking about the data center industry next.
Hey, I'm David Liggett with Data Center Hawk. Focused on cloud and colocation, data center industry trends, the dynamic market.
I'm David Liggett with Data Center Hawk, and this is Hawk Talk 31. I'm sitting in Ashburn, Virginia with Andrew Schaap, CEO of Aligned Energy, and Mike Coleman, Global Head of Design and Delivery. Gentlemen, thank you for hosting us. We're really excited to be here.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
You bet. So, Andrew, I want to start with just this facility and the fact that you've recently opened the site. When you think about Northern Virginia, the largest data center market in the world, over 1,100 megawatts of multi-tenant commissioned power. And one of the things that I think has been interesting about this market is watching the way it's grown. Obviously, there's a lot happening in Ashburn, but we've seen growth in Leesburg, we've seen growth south to Manassas, but you all chose to be right here in the middle of the main and main of the data center industry. Talk about just how important it is to be right here in Ashburn.
Yeah, thank you, David. We're delighted with the site. Obviously, we're sitting right in the middle of core Ashburn, between Waxpool and Loudoun County Parkway. Obviously, the network connectivity here is fantastic because all the big networks run just north and south of us. The site, a lot of people didn't realize the site existed.
Sure.
They drove by it 100 times and didn't see it. Informally, I've been out here a lot with my running other parts of the business. But just couldn't be happier with the site. The site commissioning this week, which thanks for coming out.
Yeah, you bet.
And we're in the building we're roughly 400,000 square feet in this particular site. And then we've got another parcel next door to us, which will be able to get this campus up over 1 million square feet end state.
Yeah, well, it's exciting. And, I think I was out here actually a month ago. We walked the campus and one of the interesting things was, like I said, just right in the middle of where everything is happening in Northern Virginia, which is really impressive. And Mike, given your background in the space, one of the things that we've seen over the last 5 years has been a change in the way data centers are being delivered and built to the market. How have you seen that change from where we were maybe back in 2014, 2015 to where we are today?
So I think the site here in Virginia is a great example of how Aligned's infrastructure and portfolio has evolved to meet the needs of the market. This is clearly much more of a building that mimics, say, the hyperscale community space and size, but it also incorporates our adaptability and our ability to handle each deal being very unique. So whether it's an enterprise customer or a hyperscale customer, we've been able to incorporate our incremental incremental deployment of cooling and electrical capacity into a much larger building to meet the customer needs here in Loudoun County.
And one thing that I think maybe we should touch on is 10 years ago, there were sustainability people that might have been in the room during a data center selection, things like that. 5 years ago, they definitely were in the room and they had more of a voice. Today, they are very influential in who they choose and why they choose certain providers. So again, part of the VSAS, the last S, is sustainability. That incremental approach that Mike talked about, that incremental approach is also about we're deploying less gear on the front end. We have no waste on square footage or infrastructure. We're perfectly matching or aligning with what clients' goals are, and that's something that we're doing. Very well, and I think it's something that, again, when everybody's building very standard products and other clients are after something that might be a little bit different from one space to another space, our infrastructure enables us to kind of adapt to what the clients are after.
Yeah, so when you initially deploy and you make a commitment for 5 or 10 megawatts and you're slowly ramping up, most data centers commit that cooling and electrical infrastructure for that total space. We're enabled to deploy that incrementally as the load increases, which allows the PUEs to stay perfect from day one, from date of deployment, and allows us to scale so that we're not stranding cooling and we're not operating inefficiently.
Yeah, and it's certainly one of the trends we've seen in the data center space in the last 3 to 5 years is data center end users really valuing the ability to have some flexibility in not only the way they grow from infrastructure side of things, but also how that flexibility hits their business. Andrew, what you mentioned, One of the things that you all have done in the last year is you've termed VSAS as something that you are rolling out to your customers in a way that differentiates what Aligned is doing from others. Talk about that acronym, what it means to you all, and what it means to your customers.
So VSAS is it's a brilliant idea that all of our customers say to us. Okay. They may not use those exact terms, but they absolutely say those words to us. And we coined it essentially. It stands for velocity, scalability, adaptability, and sustainability. That's the acronym. And again, our customers are telling us that's what's important to them. We've then turned that into that moniker that we use all throughout our buildings and on our T-shirts and on our hard hats and all those different marketing mediums. But again, the customers are saying, hey, we need this kind of flexibility in our provider.
Yep.
And so the technology helps us on one side, but then obviously, Mike, in some of his experience on the side of the hyperscale space, as well as his experience on the electrical side, we're being more creative and nimble about how we deliver infrastructure to the clients.
Yes.
So we're able to go, this client can be a low density, this client can be a high density, and we don't have to strand any infrastructure or square footage within our facility.
Yep.
And that's the big takeaway, that when folks walk through these facilities, they see the efficiency that, again, I don't have to burden my shareholders with that burden, or I don't have to burden the client in the form of some type of rent or some type of guaranteed, option in their contract. They can just come to us and scale it at will.
Yeah, and Mike, from your background and your time spent on the user side of the market, talk about speed to market and how important that is today. I mean, velocity is for the V, but talk about why that's so important.
Well, the actual growth and scale, the scalability of the business, right? So, what I struggled with prior to coming to Align, when I was procuring space or securing it for a 10-year or 15-year period, it takes a while to fill the space. Over a couple of year period, the technology that we have deployed changes rapidly. I think everybody understands the 3 to 5 year tech refresh, and as that goes, as that moves forward, the power utilization moves up, cooling requirements change, business needs change, so your compute requirements change. The great thing about our product is it is incredibly versatile. The speed to market, it makes a huge difference, because if we need to deploy quickly, the design is deployable in small increments or large increments very quickly, because we have a rolling 50 megawatt worth of cooling and electrical equipment at any one time, and we can deploy 2 megawatts, 12, and up to 90 to 120 days. So the customers don't need to commit day one to any one size in their space, and they don't need to commit to a density, because we can adapt relatively quickly, quicker than anything I've ever seen in the market, and adapt to the changes with their business. And that I find, giving them the ability to be flexible, making a decision that might lock them in for a long period of time, but allow the business to actually flex and change up. Sometimes, an assigned partner, individual business has one business unit in, and they when they've signed the lease and somebody else moves in, and the densities are very different. And we can adapt to that without any problem whatsoever.
The only thing I'd add, and I think Mike hit it, but I want to kind of maybe underscore this, is thanks to our shareholders and our board, who are very thoughtful about the industry and long range planning, because what that's enabled us to do is essentially turn the supply chain on its head. The way traditional supply chain works is you get a contract, then you go execute with your suppliers, whether it's gens, UPSs, infrastructure. What we've done is we believe so strongly in what we're doing, and so does our board, that we've essentially said to our suppliers, we just turned that around and said, look, we're going to commit to you, and we have committed to you, and they're very pleased with that, because it flattens out their supply chain also.
Yeah.
They understand what's coming, they understand the orders, they can properly staff inside of their factories where they're building things. And then look, all the suppliers have a same challenge, which is they're trying to make Wall Street happy. Right? They're trying to hit expectations of what's coming, and we're able to very easily predict to them, here's what's coming, here's how we're delivering KW, and then here's the orders that are coming from us in the next 12 months. So that 50 megawatts of rolling inventory that we have really enables Mike and his team to kind of pick and choose very quickly where we can say yes to transactions and opportunities and deploy that infrastructure and just ship it wherever it happens to go.
Absolutely. So one of the other things that I think about when I started back in the space, in the 2007 time period, was just the way the facilities from an electrical mechanical side of things were built then and the way they're built today, which you all have hit upon some of those. But if you tour through an Align facility, one of the things you'll see is what's behind me, which is this DeltaCube technology that you all have delivered, and it's really, and we spent some time talking about the last time we were together, and it's a differentiator. It is something that adds some true value to not just efficiency, but scalability and the future proofing that you were talking about earlier. Speak to that and why that was an important thing for you all to focus on and deliver for your clients.
Yeah, and maybe I'll start on the business side. So behind us is some of the technology that enables us to be flexible on how we deliver. It's 45 patents and about 450 dependent claims that sit underneath those patents. We've got a great partner that manufactures these for us, both in the States as well as internationally. So 50 hertz or 60 hertz can translate really easily. The nice thing about the technology also, whether it's brownfield or greenfield, if you notice, it's very modular and it deploys without having any impact to the client. So you'll see the marketing that we've got behind us, and we call them essentially blanking panels or expansion slots. So this is designed in this data hall for 350, 450 watts per square foot. But as the customer scales in 3, 5, 10 years, we have really easy to deliver the next Delta 3 array to continue to reject more and more heat in the same footprint. So where most people are doing what I'd call the scale out, if you need more kW, take another footprint, take another pod. We've got the ability to scale in place where we can actually scale and densify them in the same footprint, which again removes a lot of uncertainty to the CIO or CTO as they're trying to future plan their IT infrastructure, as no one really has a perfect crystal ball in 3, 5, 6 years from now.
Yeah, it's hard to make a decision with the unknown, and I think this gives companies the ability to know that they have the options moving forward to scale up or down based on what you all are doing.
And along with the scalability and the incremental deployment of the fan arrays or the fan wall, that couples with the Cactus chiller, which is also an Align proprietary a part of our cooling equipment, and that gives us the ability to scale the chilled water and the chiller plant equally with the fan wall. So we're not over deploying chilled water capacity or chillers in the yard as well. So one works; they both work together.
Yeah. When we walk through the building, you'll see some of the branding that our marketing team has done, where we're using the Aligned name, and really what the Aligned name is it's aligned with a customer's goals, their objectives, whether those are densification, whether it's sustainability, whether it's scale, whether it's velocity, and so you'll see that moniker around too, where it's aligned with the client.
Yeah.
And that enables us to really, on the backside, we're aligning the capital that we deploy with what the client's requirements are. So if day one they want X, we're able to deliver X, and in 3, 4, 5 years, if they need to densify or change up their technology, we can essentially align with their goals.
Yeah, you bet. And I think that's a change that took place probably 3 to 4 or 5 years ago, where if you think back to the space 10 years ago, the data center operator built the same way every time and really focused on that. And then there's really a shift in thinking on, hey, now we're going to take the money that we have, listen to what the customer needs, and do our best to meet their needs and be as flexible within reason as we can to help do that. And I think it's one of the reasons that in the last 3 to 5 years you've seen the market grow so much, is the solutions that you all and other data center operators are delivering to those customers. Yeah. One of the things that we've seen users want more of is a more mature connectivity offering, not just from data center operators themselves, but from opportunities to connect into different cloud platforms, et cetera. Just talk about that from a user standpoint, what you all are hearing from the market. Why is that so important for data center users today from a connectivity standpoint, and how are you all delivering a facility and platform that meets those needs?
First and foremost, no cross connects, no cross connect fees, none of that recurring expense for our clients.
Which is a big deal, yeah.
It does. I mean, if you look at it just on the surface, it doesn't make sense to do that from a business perspective for the way that our clients deploy. And then the next thing is we have a team that's dedicated to work directly with the carriers. Obviously, having great relationships with all the big carriers, the carriers to the carriers, the folks that are delivering dark fiber or lit fiber. In each of our facilities, we really try hard to make sure that there's complete diversity. So this particular site that we're in, we actually have 4 access points into the facility. Because we're seeing more and more clients asking for not 2 access points, but maybe 3 access points. And so again, we're trying to future-proof that. We're saying, look, we're going to have 4 access points into the facility. They may not all be lit day one, but if the client has that requirement, we can really quickly adapt. And then obviously everybody's trying to get some type of on-ramp solution. We've got an on-ramp solution that we'll be doing a press release on in the near future. And that covers all of our sites that, again, enables our clients to jump on very, very easily.
I would say proximity to their partners in the market, right? So latency is a big deal. Hybrid IT stacks are becoming more prevalent. I know that there's a lot of talk about people going directly to the cloud. Reality is what I've seen in the past is they can get 90% there, but they're still tied back to their internal stack. So proximity to their partners, multiple cloud partners, most of them aren't picking one. So diversity in and having that flexibility to connect and then grow in a hybrid environment is pretty important.
Yeah, that's great. I want to go back to just at the beginning, we talked about Northern Virginia. We talked about this market and how different, every data center market's different, but this one has some very unique characteristics. You all being data center industry veterans for a long time, and that's a compliment. But talk about why Northern Virginia has become such a large and strategic data center market. I mean, what are some of those factors? And I'd love both of y'all's opinion on this. Why do you think it's become the way it has?
Yep, I'll start. So the network effect is a real thing. As more folks come into the market, more have to be close, and they want to be proximate, not only to their cloud provider, but also if they have back-end applications that happen to land in a facility like ours, but also their SaaS provider, right? Because we kind of see that they're pushing that load into different end solutions, whether it's a SaaS provider, cloud provider, or a traditional data center operator like us. That network effect of everybody coming to Ashburn, Virginia, the network that's already in the ground in Ashburn, Virginia, creates a dynamic where people still have to be here in one form or fashion, or really want to be here for some type of load. So it was something that I wanted to do as soon as I came on to land in Northern Virginia. It's obviously the statistics on Northern Virginia, everybody has them and knows them. It's the fastest growing. Last year, dwarfed other markets. And that continues to grow at a pretty good clip. We believe that even with all the competitors here, we've got a pretty good solution. And the differentiators that we put forward, the clients are responding to.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so that network effect is key. High-speed transactional ad exchange, BigQuery. That stuff is being more and more sourced externally, but tied into your system. So access to data analytics and in real time is driving more and more traffic in the area, more need for space. And like I said, that financial transactions, the ad exchange, and peering is a big attraction to the market as well.
Simple things like, there's a lot of technical talent here. There's a lot of human beings that know what they're doing in this market. So if you think about one client who may already be in this market, it's very easy to continue to expand and grow because they've already got staff, people, things like that in the market. And it's just, whether it's Dominion Energy or North Virginia, they're doing it right. Right? They're aware of the competitive differentiators for Virginia. And they're continuing to be nimble and thoughtful and flexible with providers like us.
So the last several years for Aligned has been fast and furious. I mean, y'all have taken the Dallas.
No, it hasn't.
The Dallas data center facility. You're now in Phoenix. You're in Salt Lake City. You're here in Northern Virginia. I mean, what do the next several years look like, just as you all think about the industry and how you're positioning Aligned down the road? What do you get excited about?
I can't tell you any of that. It's all top secret. Look, we're delighted with our capital partners. The capital partners on the equity side are very thoughtful. They believe in the industry. We really spend a lot of time talking to them about what's happening in the industry, looking at different markets. So you're not going to see us slow down anytime soon. On the debt side, we've got a great relationship with Goldman Sachs. You'll see a press release on those, an upsize in our debt shortly. They've just been a great partner on that side. So you're not going to see us slow down. If anything, guys like Mike and Billy, who came to run operations for us, we're really pulling in some real veterans into this business, and the goal is to grow fast and furious. And international doesn't scare us at all. I've seen folks go international, and it's challenging sometimes. We've set up our supply chain. We brought on great talent that can go internationally.
Has that experience.
Mike's got plenty of stamps in his passport. He knows how to get there.
I do, actually.
So we're not afraid of that. So you'll see us get into international markets in the future as well.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you both, Andrew and Mike, for letting us be here, for touring us through the facility and just sharing your ideas about the industry, and look forward to the next time we get to catch up.
Thanks for coming out.
Appreciate it.